Hey, it's Dr. Cody Rall with Techforpsych. Today we have a Psychiatry Innovation Lab pitch and Q&A session from Dr. Calvin Yang. He's a psychiatrist and assistant professor at UCLA. Dr. Yang wants to create a software application that would use Microsoft Kinect to do a mental status examination. It's something that psychiatrists do during every patient encounter. Dr. Yang feels that this would both cut down on charting time and improve measurement-based care. Now, for his initiative, he won the Technology Award, which was a $20,000 prize put up by Google for use of their Google Cloud suite of products.
All right. My name is Calvin Yang, and I'm really excited to be here. This is my first APA conference, and I think it took $10,000 to get me to come over here, but this is actually the place I did my residency for UCSD, so I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to be talking to you today about a software application called Psych Vitals. So let me ask you, how many people here would like to save 5, 10, 30 minutes a day to spend more time with their patients or with their families and to do less documentation? Hands? Okay, I see a lot of hands. So I'm proposing a software application that would automate mental status exam. It would automate different parts of the mental status exam as well as an automated assessments that would replace the written assessments or hand-administered assessments. And this would improve measurement-based care. So just a little bit about me and my background. I have experience in biomedical engineering, computer science, neuroengineering, instrumentation development. I'm currently a clinical assistant professor at UCLA. I'm also the acting chief for the Mental Health General Care Division at the Greater Los Angeles VA. And I was also involved in a couple startups early on with my father. So I'm proposing to develop a faster, more useful mental status exam. Right now, mental status exams are a core part of mental health assessments. Right now, you can either choose to spend more time developing a thoughtful mental status assessment, or sometimes you're reduced to these checklists where you're very much providing very little information. It's just basically for coding purposes, and it's not very useful for tracking your patient. But what about if we use Microsoft Kinect technology? So this is the Microsoft Kinect device. It's pretty amazing. It's very small. It's under $100. And it contains an HD video camera, an infrared projector and sensors, as well as a microphone array. What it does is it allows a person to track movements, capture facial features, speech recognition, and some providers have actually demonstrated an ability to detect changes in the blood flow rate to the face or even the heart rate, breathing rate. So it's a pretty amazing device. My proposal is to develop an application that would be simple to use. This would work in the background, wouldn't require too much intervention. Basically, a patient would sit down, it would record the data throughout the visit, and at the end, with a simple click, a hotkey, it would paste all the results into your chart or electronic medical record. Additionally, maybe it could even be integrated into specific electronic medical records. The things that it might be able to capture include appearance from a static picture, behavior through its motion capture technology, including posture, psychodynamic activity, the affect, as well as mood. So it could, using speech recognition, track when you say things like, how are you feeling? Or are you having suicidal thoughts? And then record a response in your note. In addition, maybe it could also detect vitals, including heart rate and respiratory rate. That's phase one. The next step, this is phase two. Phase two would be to develop derived assessments by creating a clinical toolbox where you could put in PHQ-2, PHQ-9 scores, GAD-7 scores, and other scores. Then you can compare that to the measured values. And once you have that information using factor analysis or other multivariate analysis, then maybe you can create derived assessments that would help you track progress and severity of symptoms. My proposal has 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And phase 1 is the software development that's just replacing the mental status exam and automating that process. Initially, I plan to do patent acquisition and sales distribution through MS App Store. It'd either be a monthly or annual licensing model, and it could be integrated with EMRs or sold directly to providers or institutions. Phase 2 would involve clinical trials where we would then incorporate the toolbox for assessments and create these derived assessments and expand our user base. And phase 3 would then be to promote its use in quality improvement studies. So healthcare organizations like the VA or Kaiser or other healthcare organizations could use this tool to improve quality care and measurement-based care and track outcomes. We could market to healthcare organizations, clinical research organizations, as well as pharmaceutical companies. There are about 500,000 mental health providers in the US, and we spend about $36 billion on salaries for those providers. Total of $58 billion in US mental health spending, as well as global mental health direct spending of $800 billion. If we can just save 30 seconds per patient visit, that would be $600 million in potential savings. And we could also have increased coding with increased revenues for each patient seen. In phase 2, if we could replace clinical skills, we could actually replace those with a simple assessment that could save 5 minutes per patient. That would be equivalent to $6 billion of potential savings in value. So what I need is an industry partner to help me with funding as well as providing a team to develop this application. I don't want to do this myself because I think it would take too long.
To turn that around and think about how can this tool really help empower consumers to actually get better information about themselves and be more empowered in that clinical arrangement. Because I think then you've got a tremendously scalable opportunity.
Right. I would definitely agree with that. I think the first part to kind of roll it out and have people want to download or pay for this application will be saving time or maybe increasing their revenues. But once you have a large enough user base, then you can use that to develop improved assessments. And then you can improve care and make this a standardized process, almost like Vitals for psychiatrists. This may be something that hopefully pharmaceutical companies or insurance companies or healthcare organizations would then want to implement for all of their clinicians to use to improve outcomes.
You've got a bit of a chicken and egg problem, however.
Okay.
You know, it's a fascinating idea, but the data to show that there's correlation between what will come out of the data and an actual mental status assessment by an average of 3 physicians or something like that. So at first I think it makes sense. It might save some time, although I'm not convinced of that. Electronic records were supposed to save time, and that hasn't worked out so well. But having the data may, I would focus on a message that's about using this data to do a better job, quality, as opposed to replacing somebody's observations about somebody's mental status exam. I think you'll be more effective going down that road.
Okay, great.
Let's get to audience questions. Would this need to be approved as a medical device? Would patients need to give informed consent?
Right, so there definitely will need to be informed consent. I think during the first visit, one patient could consent to this procedure being in all of their visits. So it will take a little bit more time initially, but then in follow-up visits, you wouldn't have to follow up in that process again. It will need to have approval for use as a medical device.
Okay, next. How would you translate visual and auditory data into the conventional mental status exam nomenclature to ensure consistency when read by other clinicians?
Right, so a lot of the visual and auditory data will be translated into speech rate or fluency or number of words per minute, as well as behavior, psychomotor activity. It would be on a scale. So there would be a scale, for example, from -10 to 10 or 0 to 10, and you would basically see values that are quantitative to demonstrate how high this would be. And it would also have a tag, so moderate psychomotor agitation, 45 out of 100, something like that.